You're listening to Make Some Noise podcast, Minisode number 606. Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you are here with us today. This is going to be a short mini-sode, partly because I am in one of those places of my life where there's just a lot going on and I got nothing in terms of new content to help you. But of course I wanted to show up and even if nothing else, just sort of share with you what's going on in my personal life. So as I'm recording this, it is the week before that it's coming out. And so when this episode does air, I will have been in my new place for about a week, just under a week. And so where I'm at right now is I'm finishing up getting all the lease together, buying a washer and dryer, figuring out all of the things that I need to buy for this new place. So I am moving out of our marital home. That was my choice. And, my kids will be with me 50% of the time. And it's just, if anyone's ever done this before, it's a lot logistically. It's a logistics nightmare. If you just moving in general, just moving, right? Whether you're moving in the same town that you're in, or I have done some cross states moves. Those are the hardest. I can't imagine those of you who have moved countries. I guess you just kind of don't bring over a lot with you in those cases, but I'm moving about 25 miles away from this house that I've lived in for 9 years. It's been 9 years in May that we've all lived in this home. And so it's overwhelming emotionally, which it's been a long time coming. So I've had some time to adjust in that regard. But it's overwhelming logistically. And that being said, it's one of those places where I have to just understand that I'm doing the bare minimum in life. I feel like we've had this conversation several times over the last handful of years, especially since the pandemic. The bare mins, as I call it. And I also have a writing deadline on May 31st. Did I tell you guys I'm revising 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life? What? It's super exciting. I'm really excited to re-release that. I wrote that book 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. It's been more than 10 years since I wrote the book. It came out in January of 2014. Actually, it was released November 2013, but officially January 2014. So it's been 10 years that it's been released out into the wild, and I'm revising it. And that deadline is due the same day that I move. So just kind of happened that way, not planned. So I have this huge writing deadline and this big move planned. So it's definitely a moment in time where the bare mins is all I can do. So I invite you to take on that mindset when you are in a place of feeling overwhelmed. I've worked with plenty of women who find themselves in those seasons. Some of them are running on it far too long, and that leads to burnout. I can almost guarantee that will lead to burnout. I've worked with many women in that place or who are very close to it or who are in recovery from it. But my hope is that you only meet yourself in these places every once in a while throughout life, whether you're going through a big work transition or personal life or just huge things are happening. And I wanted to mention a couple of things that will hopefully help you in those moments. The first one is keep reminding yourself that it's just temporary. That and it's kind of an addition to that one, separate but similar. Ask your friends to remind you that it's temporary. I can't tell you how many moments, especially in the beginning when we made the mutual decision to end our marriage. And then it was like, what are we doing? In terms of who's living where, and just the emotional drama that came with the ending of a very long relationship, of a marriage. And I would be on the phone with my friends and I'd be crying and just so upset about the whole thing. And I'm grateful that I have friends that ask, like, how do you need to be supported? What can I say or do in these moments that would be helpful for you? What do you need? And I found myself repeating, I need you to remind me that it's just temporary. I need you to remind me that this place is just temporary, because my overwhelm was telling me that the darkness was here to stay. When you get into those places, those emotional overwhelm places, many times it can feel like you have tunnel vision and sort of the world is closing in on you. I don't have a better way to describe it, but it can feel incredibly dark and lonely, and that you don't see a way out. And I don't know, maybe that's where sort of hopelessness starts to kick in, which it's not a fun place to be. Because when we get there, it also can trigger us into not wanting to reach out for help. Thinking that we're a burden, thinking that we're the only ones that feel this way. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody can help me. People are going to judge me. All these things that our inner critic comes in, and shame comes in and tells us, that makes us isolate and try to do everything on our own, which is not helpful at all. And so to try to be cognizant, to try to be conscious of the fact that what you are in right now is just a season and it's just temporary, can be helpful. And even if you only half believe it, that's better than nothing. So that's what my friends did. It was, 75%, this is just temporary. Just take it hour by hour, just get through each day. And 25%, you can do this. You can absolutely walk through this 1 hour at a time, one step at a time. You've got this. I didn't want overtly enthusiastic pep talks. That is not where I was at. I didn't want to be reminded that I had been through equally hard things and I got through that, because then it just reminded me of those equally hard things. And then I just consumed that as well. I found that out the hard way. I was like, I don't want to be reminded of past horrible spaces that I've been in, because then I just started thinking about that too. I don't know. It might be helpful for you. Again, you decide what you need to hear from your friends, but I really encourage you to articulate to them what it is that you need. And then from there, it comes down to the kind of self-care that, again, is the bare minimum. So I still continue to go on walks with my dog to make sure I get in the sunshine, the exercise. And there are some days where I have to skip it, but at least I would say 5 days a week, I am getting outside for 30 minutes and going for a walk. And still doing things like trying my best to drink enough water, get enough sleep, and reach out to friends. Again, the bare minimum of self-care can be profoundly helpful in these moments, of emotional and logistical overwhelm. All right. That's all I got for you today. Short and sweet. The next mini-sode, I will be recording from my new place. Might be a little bit different acoustics. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I'm very excited. Check my Instagram, especially my stories, and I'll be posting some reels over there, maybe some other posts to show you the new digs. And also, this is kind of a reminder to myself, I'm going to record an episode about how I manifested this place. I haven't manifested anything like this in a really long time, but there's one quick thing, sort of like mantra that I've adopted that I think is helping, and I want to share it with you. So that'll be the next mini-sode. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey, did you know there's free secret podcast episodes waiting for you that are not part of my regular podcast feed? Yes, AndreaOwen.com/free. And you just sign up. You get a link sent to you. It's very secret. It's like a secret club. We don't have a secret handshake. Don't worry about that. But it's these motivating podcast episodes that I made for you. They're under 20 minutes each. There's 3 of them. They're for wherever you are in your life. So head on over there and grab them. They range from really supporting you and seeing you where you are and being compassionate, all the way to giving you a giant kick in your ass and telling you how amazing and gorgeous and phenomenal you are. So AndreaOwen.com/free and get your hands on that free podcast feed.
I'd like to introduce you to the Minimalist Moms podcast. It's hard enough being a mom, and the last thing you need is stress from too much stuff and an overcrowded schedule. For too long, I lived with the mindset that bigger was better, and the more I added to my life, instead of feeling better, I felt overwhelmed. It was time for a radical new mindset. Less is more. I'm not into extremes. I didn't throw everything away. My brand of minimalism is more about adding than subtracting. Get rid of the excess to make room for what you love. In other words, it's about living life with purpose. I hope you'll listen in, and my guest and myself can inspire you to think more and do with less. The Minimalist Moms podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts.